going to deviate a little bit from the standard script because well, it's all in here, but it's kind of in a little different order just to keep it fresh, I guess. But I do want to start 10 years in the future. That's obviously with technology is something we have to look at, and it raises a huge set of challenges. And of course, when you think of technology, you're usually thinking of gadgets, you're thinking of the tools, you're thinking of computers, and so on and so forth. That's not really the problem anymore. The tools are there. We have invested millions of dollars in technology in the last 10 years at HCC, at the school districts, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, students have access, especially out in this community, to technology. They have access to the internet. The faculty have access to these things. But the real issue is getting people to use it and getting people to use the technology effectively. And that's one of the big challenges that I see for my department. It's really about developing human capital rather than developing the technological capital. And that's human capital both at the faculty level, so that they can then use the tools to be more efficient, so that we can deal with the tight budget tight budgets that are probably a staple of the future, but also to be able to communicate and use these tools with their students as part of the teaching and learning process, so their students learn about these things. We like to think that the students are all extremely technologically literate. Well, they're good at certain things, but they're not good at others, we've discovered. They're great at texting. They can do Facebook, but they can't format a Word document to save their life. Okay? They don't know how to do effective research online. They don't know how to navigate the online world using critical thinking skills. And this is the most important thing that we can be teaching them, because frankly, these are the tools of their future. Anything you teach them within the class is liable to be out of date by the time they get out of class anyway. So how do you train them to be lifelong learners? How do you train them to use the technology to leverage that and move forward? And part of that involves training the faculty to train them, because frankly, the faculty have to learn this stuff too. So the big mantra in my department, therefore, is really about technology adoption. And there are a number of pieces that you have to put together in order to make that pie work. First of all, we have reliability. When people can't rely on the technology to work for them, you know, the network's down, the computer's not running, that sort of thing, that's a big problem. They stop using it because they don't trust it. So it has to be absolutely reliable, especially in the classroom. You know, when you come in, you turn on the projector, you fire up the computer. We now have projection systems in all of our classrooms. We've put $1 million into that project. And, you know, everybody has internet access. They can use the full range of things and shove it and put it up on the screen. But if they don't trust it to use it, I find that people don't use it, right? So that's a challenge. Also, we have to work very closely with district IT to make sure that this whole reliability thing gets taken care of. First of all, in terms of replacement of old equipment, which is something that's ongoing all the time. And secondly, they run the network. They are very much responsible for our connectivity to the outside world. So we have to work very closely with them to make sure, again, one of my favorite watchwords that I like to say is technology should become invisible. I mean, if you're messing with your tools, then you're not getting your work done. And Zach said earlier about, you know, we all need to learn how to be artisans. And in order for you to be an artisan with technology, you have to get past the technology. Technology is just a means to an end. But if you're struggling to make it work, that's both as a teacher or as an artist or any sort of things, range of things. So reliability has to be there. Tools have to be invisible. Secondly, access. I'm also responsible for all the student computer labs as well as the faculty labs. The technology has to be there when you need it. And if it's not, it's just as bad as if it doesn't work right. So that's always a struggle, keeping the labs open. We have a lot of students who don't have personal computers at home, so they depend on us for access. So they've got to be able to come in at a reasonable time that works with their work schedules and works with their class schedules to be able to use the equipment. Again, struggle with budget, staffing, that sort of thing, in order to make sure that that stuff is open when people need it. And then finally, vision. I mean, technology is about the future. It's about making the future present in a way. And so A lot of that falls onto my shoulders. This gets to the 10 years out. You know, what are we going to be looking at 3, 5, 10 years out? It takes a lot of money to make changes if you've got 110, 120 classrooms. For instance, I'm looking at just simply updating the podiums this year in one campus. It's going to cost me $60,000 just to do that for one campus. So you have to stagger these things out. You have to be ready for changes in the technology. The good news is that stuff is all getting cheaper. The basic infrastructure is largely in place, so a lot of that cost and emphasis is moving online. So it's out there in the cloud. You can do a lot of collaboration and things like that. I'm doing a number of things this semester to try to also get our faculty moving forward in that direction. One of the big initiatives that I'm working on right now is we have an ongoing seminar for faculty on new media. Maya is one of our participants, as well as we have 16 other participants in that. And we're working, first of all, locally as a group. We're reading materials on applying technology into education. But we're also working in tandem with groups at Baylor, at Penn State, and across the country, where we're communicating online with these folks. They're reading the same things we are, and so our discussions are both local and virtual. And the idea here is to develop a real deep learning experience for our faculty so that they carry that on and they sort of continue to apply it in the future to how they think about education, but also to really get them thinking about what they're doing when it comes to technology and education, because it's really about the teaching. It's not about the technology. Let's see. Yeah, okay. We have a number of really, let me make sure I cover the accomplishments. So the new media seminar, we've just implemented a new faculty online web presence, the Learning Web, which we managed to get up and running with about 750 accounts in about 6 weeks with no training. That's I'm real proud of that accomplishment, because people registered themselves, got their syllabi online, met the legislative requirement that all that information be online, and these are a lot of people who are not used to using technology. We're also starting to seed these things out into the environment. One of the things that we're looking at doing is we're working very closely with one of our developmental math instructors to integrate these into her instruction. We've had a number of anecdotal reports that students who are actively doing active learning in the classroom, using these, connecting up to my math lab and some of the other tools that are available online, actually do better in outcomes. And so we want to test that. So we're going to have her do a cadre in the spring of students with a classroom set of these to see whether that actually does improve learning. Because the idea is not just to throw technology at a problem without actually making sure that it's going to pay off an investment. So I guess that's about it. Anybody have questions?